afternoon, morning, evening, all that good stuff. We're doing a cave on Scorched Earth today. Should be pretty fun. First off, the location. That's sort of the big archway that kind of gives it away a little, although there's more than one of them. It's around 27, 28. Just follow down this path to get to the entrance. Should advise you that I did clear this area before. We still see one Carno stuck there, not bothering me, but there were 4 or 5 Carnos. It won't always be a nice easy walk to get to it. Obviously you've probably got some dinos or whatnot with you. So that's where we are at 28.6, 29.3, and I guess we'll get to work on getting her done here. We can see that it's got a big opening. It gives you a lot of options as far as dinos go to bring in. We'll talk about that a little later. For inventory, I've got my water and food as always. Preserving salts, just something I like to bring that's not needed. Keeps my medical brew lasting a little longer till I get home. In this case, and probably the first cave in this playlist, that I brought a rocket launcher. The feared rock golem does appear in this cave quite often, and that will really help take care of it. Grappling hooks for me are a must, as well as some water and a significant stack of ammo. I run ghillie suits in most caves unless there's a temperature issue like cold or a hazmat suit needed. And this is pretty standard for me on the downstairs. Sword, crossbow, shotgun, my pretty much god drop sniper rifle, rocket launcher, the lesser antidote, very expensive to make, not really needed. Stimulant for sure, med brew, canteen, and food. I don't roll a cave without med brew. I don't even go in the swamp without med brew. I generally don't walk around anywhere without med brew and stimulant, both of which I'm going to be using in this cave. And again, highly recommend you bring that with you when you go. Health at 410, stamina 320. I believe I have about 24, 26 torpor. I've got 320 weight to allow me at least to carry the rocket launchers and gear. And about 122 speed. Anywhere in those ranges should be good. As you see, my sleeping bags are already placed, and away I go. It appears as though I've reloaded all my guns. Make sure you do that. You want to be fully loaded at all times, especially when you're entering. You don't want to walk in there without a grappling hook preloaded into your crossbow. So as we get going here, let's talk dinos a little bit. This cave fits, pretty much every medium-sized dino into it. So definitely a good cave to bring. I prefer a cat over a wolf. Unless you're running a pack of wolves, a decent saddle on that cat is definitely a big help. If you're not running a pack of wolves, you don't get the buff. And if you're running a pack, you've got to stay a little more organized with the dinos. I'll leave that up to you. When I do caves with dinos, which is rare, I prefer to have just the one I'm riding. And there's so many great dinos to bring in here, just take the one you like best. WIKI talks about wolves a lot. If I was going to choose between the wolf and the cat, like I said, I'd be bringing a cat. Now, I'm doing this with no dinos. I go through it quite easily. This is my second attempt. I had a pretty big failure on my first attempt. So it goes a little smoother this time. And if you don't have a sniper like I do, there's a lot of other options. One, to bring a tribe mate or two. And if you took 2 or 3 snipers, then you have about the same damage as my one sniper does. And as long as you're focusing your fire, you won't have a problem. The other option, of course, is to bring dinos. But of all the caves I've done solo, I would say definitely not the hardest one. The lava cave I find more difficult on the island. Some of the aberration caves, of course, even other caves on this map. So it is one you can do. If you don't have a god mode sniper, then it might be a little bit tougher. You might want to bring dinos. What you see in a lot of the caves I do, in particular with this one, is the ghillie suit and sniper combo allows me to choose my engagements and more or less defeat a lot of the dinos before they even get close to me. The rock golem is definitely a serious threat in this cave. It throws stones at you, so engaging at a distance with the sniper rifle isn't as effective. I think you're looking at doing very little damage, and the rocket launcher is pretty key when you're in here. Now, the rock golem doesn't always appear. Sometimes it'll appear in a weird place and be ineffective, but it's something that you're really going to have to watch out for. And it's probably the most devastating dino that you're going to get in here. Now, the WIKI talks about a rubble golem. It's a variant of the rock elemental. Sorry, I called it rock golem. rock elemental. The rubber golem is pretty devastating if you are on foot or not beefed up with super god gear. Then I would simply avoid it like the plague. And there's a lot of ways to do that. In some cases they're parked in the narrows and they're hard to get around, but that's where you can go another direction or use your grappling hooks. Grappling hooks for me are in any cave I can bring them or use them. I always bring them and use them. Some of the dinos that you're going to see in here for sure as we go through, the direwolves are pretty effective. If I wasn't downing them before they came at me, they come at me pretty fast. It'd certainly be a problem. The spider definitely, you know, gets the web on you at the wrong time and you're in trouble. Scorpions, saber-tooths, also fast. Not something you want to run into. The onyx, as always, a very difficult dino to deal with. And if you mix that in with one of the spiders shooting webs at you, you can get into some serious trouble. And of course the Megalosaurus. So there's some real dangerous dinos in here. There's also quite a few loot crates. I will later on do an example of getting one the safer way. They're mostly, not all, located in the water. One cool thing about the water, I didn't notice any piranhas, things like that, but you can get bogged down when the spiders or scorpions roll up on you while you're in the water. So I found the easiest path to get to the artifact, which is the artifact of the crag, I guess you would pronounce it. Is to just stay to the right and work your way through. Now I don't do that the whole time. I follow my usual philosophy of extreme caution, and I go to the left sometimes just to be able to clear my path out and make sure that I have my, as I've mentioned in every one of my cave videos, my line of retreat cleared up. And you'll see me do that a couple times as I work my way through. It's one of those situations where there's a kind of a path on the left and a path on the right. And what happens is, if I'm running away in a panic and I end up running up to the right or the left, whichever, and it's not cleared, I could get into big trouble. So I kind of take my time going through it, especially since I had just failed prior to making this video. And I really didn't feel like failing again. Failing kind of sucks. So I use an abundance of caution when going through here, undoubtedly. Another issue that I found in this cave, it's quite, not necessarily totally unique to the cave, but you don't come across all the time, is the getting caught up in your footing. There's a lot of little spikes and little rock issues that kind of catch you when you're making your retreat, so you're going to want to be aware of that. Something I don't bring that I should have, I just simply forgot it and didn't really feel like crafting one, was the pick. The pick is good for clearing dead bodies that could get in your way, as well as rocks that can get in your way. Now here's my first use of the grappling hook. I'm a little nervous about the area below me and getting across it. I didn't have great line of sight, so I decided to do some firing from up here. And it pretty much paid off. I can see a few issues down below. I haven't quite found them yet. I just know there's something down there that's bothering me. There was some sounds and saw a couple things I didn't like. So I decided to use extreme caution and see if I can pop them before. Especially the mantis. They're fast. They get on top of you real quick. And I was pretty worried about, I couldn't really see down that line. And as we can see, the oryx is there, the mantis is there. And as always, these grappling hooks are just so good when it comes to fighting from the air. Now, against the rock golem though, because he's throwing stones, it's not ideal. So I'm really cautious watching out for the, rock elementals to spawn, or the infamous rubble golem, which I don't think I come across. So that was my first little nervous area where I use my grappling hooks effectively, as you can see. That's why I'm a big preacher and believer in grappling hooks. And here's some of those spots I'm talking about where footing is kind of an issue. If you're running back in kind of a crisis and you hit those bones, or we'll see a little further ahead other issues, it can really slow you down and cause you some problems. So you're always going to want to watch for that. Outside of that, I mean, it's a pretty straightforward cave. They say on the wiki it's easy to get lost in. I disagree. If you get spun around too much, yes, but essentially it has two main lines that go up and down it. and one to the right and one to the left. Just to show you guys what's up, I kind of stick with going to the artifact to the right, and then I come back on the left to give you a bit of a better idea. If you saw the map, which I know it flashed quickly, which you can always look it up, you know I always put the link to the wiki as well in the comment section. So if you saw the map, you'd see that it's kind of a straight line with two paths. Sorry about that, I'm getting some messages on Discord. I forgot to close it while we were playing, but as you know, I'm playing on one of my own servers. I run 4, we're at 5 maps now, the 4 officials plus RAG, so usually have Discord open to keep an eye on things. And again, here you see where the sniper and the ghillie suit are so effective against these cats, and when you hit the cat in the head with the sniper, you get a crit hit a lot of the time, and even with a lower end sniper that might finish him in one shot. If you don't take them from a distance, you could get into trouble, and you'll really need a solid retreat line. The parts in the water are said on the wiki to be extremely dangerous. As you can see, there's a crate down there. I personally didn't find it as dangerous as many other water areas, simply because we don't see the piranhas in there, or the crocodiles, sarcos as you would call them. So I didn't find the wiki was really accurate on that, and I do show a little later on, just in case you are interested in going for those loot crates, the safest way to do it. We're going to do that on our way back. We'll grab one of them, and I actually got 2 Ascendant saddles, I believe, out of it. So here's a great example of where footing is a problem. Just get stuck and glitched up trying to, not glitched, sorry, just stuck and caught up trying to get through there. As always, the hit boxes and such far from ideal. Just the rocks are blocking my rounds. And these guys can be real dangerous. If you happen to have a web on you when they approach, a couple cats on you when they approach, you're in trouble. That's why I'm going through quite slow. Just trying to work the map very slowly. I don't love what I'm about to do here. Jumping over, and I'm not 100% sure how cleared up this area is. Just checking my flanks for those bats. And that's in the end why I did bring the immunity stuff there, the lesser antidote. Because if I did have bad luck and hit by one of those bats, you can med brew through it and just keep healing, but it does a lot of health damage over time. So the lesser antidote would have given me an instant cure for the super rabies the bats can give you. Fortunately, I don't think I ended up needing it. I believe I used 1 or 2 just out of an abundance of caution later on. Megalosaurus obviously being a problem. And I've gotten a little fortunate as well. I'm not getting a lot of real high-level dinos, so that's a big help in this cave. The ones I am getting just aren't coming at me when I'm under any kind of pressure. And as always, sound. I heard those bats before I saw them. Unlike some of the island caves, they're in batches of 2 and 3, a lot easier to manage than when there's, say, 7 or 8. So that really helps me out to get through this cave fairly easily. I actually found not only this cave, the second try was a lot of fun, but just not extremely difficult as far as caves go. Bear in mind, I'm certain at this point I've done caves well over 50, 60 times. The island is where I learned to do caves, and that's where I failed. In the case of the lava cave, I think 5 or 6 times before I did it. The cave at the volcano, 5 or 6 times before I got through it. So at this point, the second try was enough. Here's where the stims are very important. In this case, I could have fallen asleep and been just fine, but had that happened when there's other dinos around, falling asleep is a death sentence essentially, so we don't want to do that. And I really don't recommend even going into a cave without stimulant or stim berries. Stimulant for sure uses up a little bit of water when you take it. It's a salty product, but no big deal because I've got extra canteens, and if I had to, we could just go into the water and get a drink. So you see the dinos are kind of caught behind the bones here. It's making me a little nervous because those mantis get on you quick. When I get nervous about close range fighting, I'm going to switch to my shotgun every time. We're doing here, and a tough time to reload. Getting caught up a little bit on the ground here as well. Take a bit of a beating. Not too bad though, my armor's holding out well. Another good reason to have the pick if you're really being cautious. It would be a great idea to clear these dead bodies out of your way to make sure that your retreat line is easy and smooth when you're on your way back. I was feeling pretty confident as having failed it once before and going over the reasons why. So I forgot the pick, but I wouldn't have spent time clearing those bodies either way. Here is a bit funny. I really want to get up here. I think there's another dino off to my left, and I was trying to get a better line of sight. The Ark God said no. The Cave God said just deal with it, so I did. And we're clearing stuff up way before it's on top of me. And when you're solo in a cave with no dinos, if you're not doing that, you're going to end up in some tough battles. You might win them, but they will be tough battles. Here I don't love it. I could just grapple hook up there, but a little nervous about doing that. One of the things I talk about a lot in cave videos that I do is the risks of grappling somewhere when you don't know what's there. You could end up easily surrounded, and that's making me a little nervous, so I go to try to this left side here, get a better idea on what's going on up there, give me some sort of view. I decide in the end to go double check down here as to what's up. I'll get back to that way, but if I wanted to do things faster, I could have just gone up through there. As always, the artifact generally has dinos around it. Of course, in this case, we definitely see some. Use extreme caution. Don't, try harder, be greedy, and go for the artifact instantly. Obviously, being in the inventory of the artifact takes you away from the fight. So I'm using extreme caution as I approach. Number one, I don't know what's going to pop out around me or what's up high. So I want to clear everything around the artifact before I get it. Something to note here, the artifact doesn't make everything all squiggly and wiggly like it does in the other maps. The reason behind it, get our torch skin and our artifact, but I'm not complaining about that. That squiggly stuff can kind of really screw you up as far as visuals go. So that takes care of pretty much the artifact and back. As you can see, it went real smooth. Now the plan here is kind of to head home and just show you guys my method of getting the loot crate out of the water. So if you wanted to get all the loot crates, you could. I don't believe there's any dossiers or explorer notes in this cave, but there are a significant amount of red loot crates. And if you're looking to farm stuff, personally, I'd prefer to do it in the desert of Scorched Earth. In fact, one method people on my server do, which is quite genius, is they set up a little hut with a bed and a box near all the desert drops. And what you can do is just use fast travel to go from different beds, put everything in a box, and then every once in a while tour around on a wyvern or whatnot and pick up all your drops. So I would prefer to do that than take the chance of going through these crates. But if you're really into it, I mean, why not? It's not that difficult. And we're going to take a look, I believe, at this batch of water to go grab one. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, it's right here. Hesitant about jumping, but do it anyways. Now we take a look and we see our drop right there. So there's only one way I go into the water in caves, 9 times out of 10, and that's with my best friend, the grappling hook. And I'll stay attached to it, drop down, I hear some action. And this would have been a headache with no gun to fight in the water. And as you see, they never came down until I went into the water. So, or close to it. So when the wiki talks about the dangers of water, I presume that's what they mean. Again though, no piranhas in there, no sarcos, didn't really feel that dangerous to me. But out of an abundance of caution, as always, when you're alone, there's no one to guard your stuff, there's no one to finish the fight after you die, and I only have the sleeping bags. As I mentioned before, if you fill up a dino with gear and bring it with you to the cave, you go back to get your stuff, if you're carrying a whole batch of new gear, you're going to be too heavy to make it back. So better to not die when possible. I do a little dip, see if I draw anything out. I've never been in the water in this cave before. Once I feel a little safer, I de-grapple it. And we'll go down and grab, and I forget what's in here, so I'm kind of curious myself. Don't really need an Ascendant Thorny Dragon, but Ascendant Saddles are Ascendant Saddles. I'm hooked. It's my usual way of getting out as well. Pretty much gonna head home now. It's not Like I said, not the most difficult cave, but it may look a little easier because I've just done so many caves. Sniper and ghillie are the saving grace, and the other thing, unfortunately I was hoping to run into one just so y'all would see it, is we didn't catch a rock elemental, we did not catch the so-called rubble golem. Now there's one there, but he's not in a position to do anything. It's unlikely I could even aggro him to get him out. A lot of times when you've seen orcs or bats in those situations, shooting at them just doesn't make a difference. So no luck for the elemental or the golem. Just kind of go for a little stroll back home now. Again, sticking to the opposite way that I came in, more or less. Give you guys a better look at the entirety of the cave. There's a couple paths I didn't take. There's a little underground passage that leads to a crate, and I never cleared up here, so I thought, okay, well, clear it up just for being. That's always something to watch out for. Very common in every cave I've gone through that enemies will get stuck in the walls and they won't seem to come out until you're in trouble or you're in a fight. So there's where I use an antidote, lesser antidote by accident, more or less. Definitely nervous about falling asleep. Pumped a couple stims, and I think I take one more just in case. Obviously the star on the right is how you know about that. If there's any type of, and thing is, sometimes it goes down and you think you're okay, but then it goes right back up again. So you're always going to want to be careful for that. Again, hearing is important. Definitely heard a little oryx there, but I don't see him. It just reminds me to be careful. Move through slow, look around, and that's the oryx there, stuck in the walls, no real issue. Usually I've seen in my first wave, which quite a bit before this one, obviously I have to give a lot of time for the dinos to respawn. I never killed it, but there was a rock golem right in that path, but he could be avoided, which the WIKI says as well. But we definitely know we're going back a different way, or the stuff respawns really fast. See how these spider webs aren't really that dangerous on their own? If you're in a nasty fight when it happens, you got problems. It'll definitely cause some issues that you don't want to deal with. So one of the big things is to stay real calm. Especially the spider webs, I think the concept behind them for sure is they panic you a little bit. But the fact is you can still shoot when you're wet. So it's not really a major worry. And here I am just double checking my retreat line. I know I've got a few bats over there and a couple other things. Not sure how this is going to play out. I can't move forward very well because the water's there and that makes me nervous. So I did do a double check to make sure I had a nice path to retreat. And in large that was because of the orcs. I'm used to having 5 or 6 attack me in a cave. If you've watched my other cave videos, you'll see that I'm under a lot of pressure a lot of times with those orcs, regardless of the sniper rifle I'm carrying. So it's something definitely got to look out for, but they seem to be jammed up a lot here and not reacting like they're just stuck in the bones, you know? And that might be different when you go in, of course. That's all kind of RNG and then random movement where they're pathing that's led them there, and it may not be the case when and you can see how these wolves and cats that are in here are a serious threat. When they get, if you don't kill them right away and they get on top of you, 2 or 3 of them will end your day. And oddly enough, they have troubles maneuvering in here just like I did. So that helped a lot. If you're really after the loot crates, you're going to want to go for a swim in all the water. Obviously do it with those grappling hooks like I showed you earlier. It's the best way to go. We're pretty much almost out of here. Pretty good time with it. I never really got too stressed out and just had fun shooting stuff, so it was a great cave for me, especially for my second try. Just no complaints at all. Now, coming out of the cave, much like if you're on the cave on the island in Carno Island Cave, you never know what you're going to find out there. It's not necessarily the best time to relax. If anyone's seen my Celebrate Too Early quick clip there where I finished the volcano cave on the island for the first time, I was all happy and excited, and I died of starvation of all things. So don't make that mistake again. Get a little lag as you're changing worlds. No big deal. But I'm pretty cautious just coming out. Now, obviously you're going to have dinos with you just to get here. I didn't do that. I just showed up on the scene, so to speak. that about wraps it up. So if you guys enjoyed it, like and subscribe. Y'all know how to do that sort of stuff. I don't got to tell you how the bell works, but I will anyway, because everybody does. People tell me to do that. But thanks for watching. Hope this helped, and y'all have yourselves a great day.